Hey, what's good, barbecue family? It's your boy Joe Mill here, back with Killer Miller Q, and today we're bringing out the old Lone Star Grill, making some Kansas City burn-ins. I got Mitch's Whomp sauce on deck. Come on, let's get right to it. And cut the music as we zero in on this beautiful brisket point that I had. I actually got a whole brisket before, and I actually cut this off myself. Way cheaper to do it this way. Literally saved me about $2 per pound compared to what they was charging if I just wanted to buy the point by itself. But I had this cook in mind for a while. I've been sitting on this sauce. It started here. This Meat Mitch barbecue sauce, that Whomp sauce. I actually think I tasted this sauce one time back when I used to get the barbecue box a while back. This is a Kansas City sauce right here, and luckily I got this one here from one of my work friends that actually works in Kansas City, and I always wanted to do a video with it, so I put it to the side, and this was one that I wanted to try to do and make sure that it was special. So what we're going to be doing is some Kansas City burnt ends here with this beautiful looking point. As you can see, I got some good bits of meat in there, or fat. It's kind of striated along in here. That was a good brisket. I want to say that was just a choice, but definitely looked more like a prime. And I went and actually found the Meat Mitch rub, which I've definitely never tasted. And it says you can use this on brisket, pork, chicken, ribs, beef, so pretty much whatever. Another one, like I said, Kansas City, and this is an award-winning rub and sauce combo. So that's what we're gonna be using today on our Kansas City burnt ends. So right now, I'm just sitting this thing outside a little bit, letting it come up to temp a little bit more. I'm gonna get it up out this package. We're gonna be using my old good old-fashioned drip easy Tupperware here to do my seasoning and my resting and everything. So let me get it up out of here. I'm gonna dry it off with a paper towel, and then I already got my Lone Star coming up to temp, and as you can see, I got tons of smoke over there. Now most of that smoke is actually coming from, I just put a little bit of mineral oil on here, so a lot of it is actually coming off the grill itself. But my thing was so dry, I had to at least get something on it, even though I know a lot of that will dry off. But my stack actually looks pretty decent. So we're gonna be running some pecan wood over there. I can see I'm nice and hot. That'll be kind of going. But initial impressions, just getting my first taste on this rub, just so I can always get an idea. Wow, that tastes great. The flavor profile, you can get a good idea what it looks like. Definitely see some notes of black pepper in there. That is very tasty. Not too salty, but a nice depth in the rub. I love the color. This is gonna be fun. All right, check out this beautiful piece of meat we got here, all dried off and everything, so I got all that extra fat off of it. The one thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about doing any trimming. This is already pretty respectful, and not have a whole lot of fat or anything like that on there anyway, so I want to leave what I got on here. However, if you can tell, it's a little uneven. I mean, I got pieces over here that get really thin and kind of unwavy. What's going to end up happening is it's just going to cook really unevenly. So when I say I'm going to come in here and clean this up, I'm not taking any fat off. What I want to do is really, I'm just going to kind of sharpen it off a little bit. I'm going to get it more down to a solid lump. I'll let those other little pieces cook in their own little striations. Maybe I'll get me a straight taste before I get them in there and candied up and everything. But let me get my knife out, get a little bit of work in, and I'll show you what I mean. All right, this is what I'm talking about right here. Get up out of here, them flies. They ready for it. So I basically went ahead and took off. This was a part that was just kind of sitting there with a crack on it open. You go ahead and get that up off of here. Corner piece, evened it up. Move. Nice square now. We got a nice little solid lump of meat to work with, and those other pieces will cook up a little faster. Let me hurry up and season up before the flies take this meat, and I'll show you what we're gonna sit with. Okay, now let's go into this Meat Mitch rub on here. No binder, straight up. I tell you what, this rub is just gorgeous. Not only do it taste well, but I mean, I always have been a fan of the Kansas City profile. A little sweet, a little bit of heat, beautiful looking color, nice and red, a little more of the tomato-based look, you know. I got a little seasoning on my scraps, but I'll just kind of move them around with some of the stuff that's still in the bottom of this tub, so I don't got to overuse this rub, as I make sure I can get this on some of the other pieces. But I mean, just take a look. Get it out here in the light. Look how red that look. And that's a beautiful seasoning. So I'm gonna go ahead and rub these around a little bit, make sure everybody looks nice and coated. The big one's good to go, and I'm gonna let this hang out, put a top on it. Right where you see it, we'll dial this fire in. It's a lot more calm over there now. You can see the majority of that early mineral oil burnt off, and now my smoke looks good. I'll get that temperature down. We'll try to get us a smoke probably closer to around 275, 250-ish, and we'll get this baby on here in about another 20 minutes. Okay, it has at least been 20 minutes. My fire is nice and calmed down. Grill done smoking, nice and smooth. We can look in there from here, and I can tell you, and I just had it open because I was just cleaning up my grates, but I was at 300, so that means by the time I throw this meat in and everything, I'll drop down to 275, and I'll wait till it get to around 250-ish before I go ahead and push my other log in there, and we're going to start smoking from there. But let's check out this meat. Oh yeah, you see the nice little pool of liquid. Look at that beautiful reddish color. Almost look like I'm making ribs. I can't wait to try that seasoning on some ribs because that's going to be banger, I can already tell, or chuck roast or something like that. I'm going to get this on. I'm going meat side up just like how you see it, and we're going to get over there to the smoker. Other than that, man, it's a beautiful Sunday over here. Enjoying some football, getting some breakfast started. You know it. So we throwing some wood in, ladies and gentlemen. It's been holding at about 250 now. It's been about an hour and 50 minutes, roughly. Ooh, look at that color. A little bit of pooling. I'll go ahead and I'll tip that and kind of more or less baste it with it. Actually, that's what I'll do is I'll grab me a little bit of a little thing. I can't even think of the name of it. And I'll go ahead and brush it all over there. Get them juices all over there and just kind of baste it lightly with that. Love the way the color's looking. I got the thicker side more towards where the heat's coming in. I don't want to quite rotate it yet. I'm sure one of these smallest striplings, you can see how they're all curling up. That's why I want to go ahead and cut them up off of there. Because at the end of the day, it was a lot of fat on, I think, that one right there or this one right here. And at the end of the day, they wouldn't cook up as clean. I wanted to make that product right there nice and even. So let's brush those off, and then I'll see if there's any samples ready to go. And team, I want to take a quick second to jump in here and let you know, thanks for following along on today's cooking. If you're new to the channel, go to that bottom right corner. Make sure you subscribe. Check out some of the videos that you've already missed. And if you haven't done it already, find me on Facebook, IG, and TikTok. But other than that, let's get back to the work. And I tell you what, this flavor that's coming up off of here is great. Definitely reminds me of ribs. A little sweet, a little heat. Pardon my reach. Just gonna give it a little covering with that, with its own juice. Make sure I don't get rid of all the seasoning off there. We're gonna let it keep on rocking just like that. And these little nublets is little Pipmaster's Choice right here. Just a little something to kind of get me along the way. Give me a good idea what it's gonna taste like on the meat. Definitely I'll come through and sweeten this thing up on the back end, let them braise out. This will be good. So we back at about 3 hours in. Ooh, look at my color. We are starting to get some bark. Beautiful looking red color. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm gonna do exactly what I did before, which is take some of that juice down there with my handy dandy little brush here and gently apply that all over. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a turn, but not too much, just to get a rotation of some sort. And we're gonna let it roll a little bit longer. I'll get a temperature too here in a second. All right, like I said, slight bit of movement. This point is looking absolutely beautiful. I mean, you would think I've sauced this thing already. All I did was take a little bit of that juice out of those two cavities right there. Didn't want to take too much, but just add a little bit of sheen all over this thing. Curious where we're looking at on the temp. Right there, more or less center. Okay. So 3 hours in, I'm sitting at about 156. I'm not quite dark yet, so I'm gonna keep on letting it bark up a little bit more. Otherwise, I'd wrap it up if I had butcher paper, but I'm all out of butcher paper. That'd be a thought. But I'm thinking that I should be able to get pretty close. My game plan is to take this to about 195 before we go ahead and cube this thing up. We'll give it a little bit of love, and then we'll sit up in there and let it get real tender. 4 hours in. About time to throw some more wood in. Check this thing out. I did move it and give it a little bit of a rotation. I've added nothing to this thing. It is literally the exact same way that you've seen it. Only juice that's coming off of it is pooling in these areas, and I just been lightly brushing it throughout just to keep it with a little bit of sheen. This thing looks absolutely beautiful, smelling great. Let me throw this log in and we'll brush it out again. Oh, and I'm just gonna go right along with it, right along with the grain. As you can kind of see it just running left to right. Now, if I had to cook this thing directly in there with the point, you wouldn't get so much bark on here, but this should cook a lot faster being that it's separated. And it should give me some good bark all the way around. I'm not expecting this to take too much longer. My color's still looking good, so I'm gonna ride out a little bit longer with this smoke. I assume at about 5 hours, we should be about ready. But let's check the temp. Yeah, still in the 150s. Okay. 5 hours in, ladies and gentlemen, and I know it's time to come up off of here. Look at that. Beautiful looking color. That redness is still there. Let's pull. All right, I'm over here at my prep table. 5 hours in, this thing smoke and smells amazing. We're gonna go ahead and get to the second step. I'm not gonna let this sit too long. I'm gonna let it go ahead and get, these flies everywhere. Get right into it. I'll be cutting it along the seams into 1-inch chunks. So I'm gonna make some long 1-inch strips, then I'll chunk it up from there. We're gonna be sliding right over here into the pan. I'm gonna keep it more or less dry. I don't want to have too much liquid in there. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and top it with the Meat Mitch barbecue sauce. And then we'll drizzle a little bit of basic honey over the top. Being that I've been able to get a little bit more bark all the way over and everything with it being open, this should be good enough for me as far as the overall look. I know a lot of times people will go ahead and re-season your burn ends, but normally that's if you cook the whole thing together. So this whole top end might not even got any seasoning since it's been sitting with the point or the flat on top of it. So I won't worry about too much seasoning. I'm good on salt and everything. I just want some of that barbecue sauce and some of that honey. First things first, let's get some long strips cut. Just like that. And then naturally you're always gonna have a little bit more crisp, a little bit more bark on your end, so those are gonna be some beautiful burn ends there. But overall, there is your meat. Look at that. These is like beautiful little steaks here, pretty rendered already. Not too much fat in here, so I won't have to do too much trimming. It's anything. Sometimes you might break these apart and that big piece might be in the middle that you might need to break out. These will be good. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and block me off and make me some 1-inch cubes. Here we go. Little bit of fat that I had to take off of like 1 or 2, but other than that, man, you pretty much looking at it. Flies know it smell good, so you know you're looking at some real product here. We're gonna hurry up and get these babies over there. I'm gonna leave the tip sitting up and I'm gonna leave the meat side down. We're coming straight over here and then we're gonna get them arranged. Boom. So I like to put my tops up this way more or less so I can let that side that's already got this beautiful bark on here get a little bit of that sauce. It's going to caramelize up quicker. I can also let that bottom side catch a little bit more of the juice and everything. That way I don't lose my bark on the top by letting them sit over there. I'm not adding any moisture because I don't want to boil these babies. We just going to braise them. And like I said, the only liquid I'm finna use is that Meat Mitch sauce, a little bit of honey, and I got a little bit of juice over here that I'm just going to drizzle right back over the top. Going on first with this sauce with my left hand. And I just want to cover the tops. I don't want to necessarily drizzle it too much. That should be good. And now with some of this honey should help thin it out a little bit. Give it a nice candy glaze. This sauce was amazing. Tasted that right out the bottle. Nice and thick. A little bit of, quite a bit of heat actually. Yeah. There we go. And now I'm gonna get me a glove on. We're gonna toss these around a little bit. All right, tell me them don't look good enough to eat right now. We putting them right back on here, aluminum foil over the top. And we're gonna keep it rocking for another 45 minutes or so. And these babies should be good. We done lost all our good daylight. I'm over here throwing some wood in. We've been in here about a half hour. Yeah. And this is all I want to do is I'm just going to shake these babies up, kind of move them around a little bit, rotate this thing around, and I'm going to leave it just like it is. I'm not worried about uncovering it, and I'm going to leave it for at least another half hour. All right. And that way that'll kind of keep them moving, make sure they don't get stuck in one spot with all that good candy. Got my fire going strong. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's dark out here. Let me show you what I mean when I say it's dark out here. You know, it's desert dark. You know, desert dark out here. It ain't nothing but like 7 o'clock. Let's get the lights back on in the party. It is time to rock and roll, man. These things been sitting out here for at least an hour. They ready to go. We done came in here and shook. Smells great out here. I shook them up a couple times. I'm gonna shake them one more time. I'm not even worried about no temp. I know they where they need to be. Shake them off. Let's bring them in. All right, so these had a second to sit. We back indoors, obviously. We got much better light. I gave them a shake or two. Let's get in here and take a peek at these chunks. Ah, yeah. You see they was able to go ahead and create their own bit of juice with just that barbecue sauce and that little bit of honey we put on there. That's basically nothing more but some more rendered fat. And we can just jump right into one of these things. Oh yeah. Look at that smoke ring. Woo! Burnt my hand. Let me pull a couple of these out of here. Arrange them over here on the plate. Good old meat Mitch came through. Alright, let's get these babies over here. Gave them a little toss. And this sauce with the honey. These babies is tender and hot. Alright, so I'll put these babies on a plate real quick fast so you can get a quick peek of that. Again, meat Mitch with this rub and this sauce, both are slamming. Both of them really make me want some ribs, but I really enjoyed his profile. I've already had one, but let's get a little taste of some with a little bit more of that sauce on there. Money. And that's another one in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Them Kansas City burn-ins was great. I got them to my guy that got me that meat Mitch barbecue sauce, and he actually came in the office, got a chance to try them. He said they was solid. He liked them a lot. Wanted a little bit more fat. I can take that. We're going to the lab. We're going to come back with some more. I appreciate you checking this one out. Shout outs to my family, all my boys at Black Smoke Barbecue, and you in TV land. I appreciate you, and I'm going to catch you in the week. Peace.